Hi, this is Megan of Megan's Creations. Today I thought I would show you guys a process video of how I make a word art cluster. If this is something you think that you really like and you'd like to see more of, let me know in the comments and I will do more of these. Um, Sometimes it just comes, I don't know, I just don't even think about it, and so I don't think about how maybe some of you would like to see ideas for how to do this. So I hope you like this video today. So today I'm going to show you how I made my word art cluster for my freebie Like a Mermaid word art cluster freebie that I put in my newsletter. And the first idea, of course, is to come up with a title. When I'm choosing a title, I do try to think of something that will only be a few words, not too long. Those are longer quotes I usually put on a card, a project life card, or a 3x4 card. Uh, because they are so long and it's kind of hard to fit them, squeeze them all into one section of a layout. So my word art clusters are often titles, short phrases, and for Like a Mermaid, obviously, sorry, Like a Mermaid, obviously, Under the Sea came to mind. My Like a Mermaid was loosely based off of Ariel. I just wanted this very ethereal, whimsical feel that I just felt like mermaids possess. So, but lots of people took it that way with Ariel, and that's awesome. So, Under the Sea, I thought would be a cute title to do with that. So, often I'll start by just playing around with some fonts, even though I do have some really uber cool alphas with that kit, but it helps to lay out the letters first. So for Under the Sea, and I'm just going to leave it like that, even though that is obviously not the font I would want for this. My thought process was that I'd have Under and Sea pretty big, and then I have that little bead font for the. But even if I didn't have that bead font, I would definitely make Under and Sea one font, and then make the a different font. So possibly a script font. I am digging Path out right now, as well as what's the one I recently got? I got one just recently, and I'm like, I'm using this one a little too much. It might be at the top here. Oh yes, King Basil. That's the one I'm loving right now. So that's another tip to make the two fonts very different. Um, there's, so you can call it the script font or handwritten font, and then a more, formal font maybe for the other ones. And actually this one it might be more fun to have Under and C be the script font to make them that fun, scripted font, and then have the be a boring kind of plain Jane font because it's just the word the. There's nothing special about that. So that's another thought that you could actually switch what I have here and make Under and C be the fun ones with the script and make the something plain like Century Gothic. If we want to stick with, the King Basil I have, it looks kind of like a handwritten script font. So I like to have sometimes some handwritten plain fonts. So one I was thinking of, sometimes I forget the names of them and I'm like, oh yeah, Ematic, that was the one I was thinking of. This Ematic is, oh, that's too big, maybe, yeah, I'll just stick with that. Um, it's handwritten, but it's kind of this sloppy little, it still looks handwritten, but it's also very plain in that it's like sans serif, means there's no little extra stuff there. It's not as decorative as our script font. So we could do something like that. Um, so I kind of like that, but I do think I'm going to go with using my alphas. But if I wasn't going to use my alphas, you could do fun stuff with this. I would definitely stroke each of these words like with a white stroke, make them look like a sticker, and then add a drop shadow so that it stands out and is not just flat. Sticker will help it stand out. Sometimes I'll do things like put each one of these as their own sticker and then make the on a little word strip, like little paper strip, so that there's some depth there, some three-dimensional aspects to it. Um, I'm digging this, and I'm like, I want to actually put my, not use my alpha. So hard. Sometimes that happens. Okay, I'm using Photoshop Creative Suite or Creative Cloud, and it has this awesome feature that I actually use for all my previews, where we load files into a stack. If you don't have this and you make previews, I am so sorry. That probably takes forever. If you're the kind of scrapper who likes to just load all the elements from a kit into Photoshop all at once, this is also something you can do. It's cool because it does keep the names of the files. And so I'm just going to bring in, especially when I'm doing a title like this, I like doing the stack so I can just do all the letters all at once. So alpha 1, let me double check. Alpha, yeah, this is the one. I was thinking I would use this kind of font for under and C, and then use the with the beads. So I definitely think I'm going to use all capitals, and this one already has all capitals. So what file stacking allows me to do is I can multiple select here under, and then C. And you only select it once, obviously, and I'll just duplicate it later. And then you have to click OK if you're going to go into a different file to grab more elements. So I am going into my second alpha to get the other pieces, and so I had to click OK, and it still is not going to load them until I do the final thing. So lower, we'll do upper, so because it is going to be kind of tiny. So T HE for the click OK. So once I have all the files that I want it to bring in together, then I click OK, and it'll work its magic with opening each of those files and putting them all in one document for me. And this just makes it easier to drag them all over at the same time. And you'll notice that it is keeping the names of the files on the layers, which I really like too. Makes it easier when you're trying to figure out which layer you're working with, what you grabbed. And you know, maybe my computer's a little slow. I have a lot of stuff on it. I need to put more stuff on an external drive. Okay, so now they're all loaded, and I select all layers, and then I can drag it to where I'm at working here. Okay, and then like I said, I'm going to need you, I kind of have to reorganize things around together. U, N, D, E, R, and then I need, whoops, I need E twice. So I'm going to duplicate that one and put it down here. Okay, another thing I like to do is go ahead and apply my drop shadow to everything. When I do the drop shadow, I use global light so that everything, if I decide to change it, change the direction, I can change everything later. That looks a little stark for these skinny letters, so I'm just going to bring that down just a bit. And these are the basics. I use linear burn, about 40% opacity, and I play around with distance and size based on what the element is. And then copy layer style, and go ahead and apply that drop shadow to everything. And then based on, you know, I'll play around with, do I want the letters to be behind each other or in front of the next one? So it looks like I'm kind of thinking it should be behind it instead. So I'm actually going to move all these down. And then, you know, just go ahead and just rearrange it first, and then I'll resize them all together at the end. Some people like to link the layers so that if I ever started accidentally moving one of the letters, it would move all of them. I don't bother with that. Usually it's not, I don't know, it's just like an extra step that makes it take a little too long, I think. Okay. And yeah, I think I like that under the E a little better. Okay. So there's that, and then since I definitely know that this is way too big for these beads, I'm going to go ahead and shrink my under the C here. Okay, and then I'm probably going to still shrink these a little bit more too. Okay, THE. Definitely want to bring those above this. And now you see that I'm also doing this on a 12 by 12 background because I do like to see, how will it look on an actual layout. And I usually make them pretty oversized. I feel like I'll make my clusters pretty big so that you can, if you like them big, you can keep them big. And if you want to shrink them down, you always have that option. But you don't want to try to have to go from something small to something bigger. You lose a lot of quality that way. Okay, so obviously with my word art, I start with the word parts. And yeah, I'm liking how this looks. And you see that I put the beads on top because I'm still trying to be conscious of what it would look like if it was actually 3D. And I'm going to get rid of this word part here. I'm like, oh, that's so pretty. I want to do that too. Okay, so something else I'll do once I have this is I do kind of think, okay, it needs some background because if you place this on top of a photo or some other clusters, it could get a little lost. So I definitely want to, I like to think of layering elements. And so I don't stack my elements that I'm going to work with. I just kind of go looking in my element files and go, what do I want? Okay. So under the sea, oh, definitely have to have the coral. Definitely want my coral here. That would be super fun and conveys that sea kind of thing. Um, Definitely try to make sure that it's not getting in the way of the letters and making it hard to read the word art. I don't want that. Okay. But I definitely need some pretty flowers, and I definitely am looking for color balance when I'm choosing elements. I don't want to have the same colors next to each other. I don't want to have it be, maybe I want it to be dominantly one color sometimes, but try to change things up a little bit. You see, I'm putting this one above again. If I had this big 3D flower, I wouldn't have it underneath the letters, if that wouldn't make any sense. But then something like one of these that's a little flatter, that would definitely go behind it and be just fine. So I'm going to layer that. I don't know what it is. I have this tendency to always rotate something. Like, it can't be upright when I bring it into Photoshop. I don't know what's up with that. But it's just a habit. I don't know why. Okay. So that, I'm rotating it just because I want the petals to show. Okay, so pasting that. And yeah, I go hunting. I mean, the words are what I have set in my mind. Now this one, I don't know if I want to put this one with it because I have this, and so I think I'm just kind of looking at they're both leafy kind of, and one's real and one's paper, and I just don't feel like that's gonna mesh very well. So I'm gonna try to see what else I got. Got some fun netting here. I like this netting. I'm definitely going to have to adjust. I've been kind of just using the normal drop shadows for this, for all the elements, which I'll probably go back and change. I do use a starker drop shadow for excuse me, for 3D shapes like this flower. So the net, I can see that drop shadow is not working. For really thin elements, I like to decrease the size. Looks like that distance is a little too much, but I like to have more distance than size, so it kind of pops off the page. So yeah, I'm liking that better. Okay, and I just keep going till I feel like it's done. I don't like to do too much, but I want the cluster to be fun enough. And then if you've ever purchased any of my clusters, you'll know that I do also have a element free version where I just do the words. And that is for that flexibility if you're like, well, Megan, you got a little too carried away and that cluster is way too busy. You can always just start back with the words and make your own word art cluster or just use it as the word art. Ooh, I had so much fun with this. using watercolor paper and some glitter styles to make this swirl. Super fun. Wavy, so that's definitely going to go behind things here, but in front of the net. Let's see, I'm having to work on adjusting this, and sometimes I might just crop things. I might just go, you know, well, I really love the placement here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut off that swirl end right there, because I don't want it to interfere with being able to read the title here. Kind of, I guess, getting done. I think a shell here might be good. Again, looking at color, a pink one would be good. I think I like this luminescent one right here. And I promise you I don't talk to myself while I make these, so I'm only talking to you. Don't worry about my sanity here. Okay, so that'll be tricky to do that without covering too much of the white flower. So I might go ahead and adjust where the white flower is a little bit more, just so it sticks out. Okay, and I definitely want to, I think I'm going to beef up so I might go even darker, bigger shadows, just to make that stand out, pop a little bit more. Okay, yeah, I also like to put ribbon background, so maybe we'll look in to see how that would look with the little ribbon trim. Look at these options. I do like that. That might be close to the font. You know, like the alpha color. I don't know. Let's see how it looks. Okay, actually I probably want it in front of the net. Yeah, it's pretty close. I feel like I'm losing the C in that, so let's go with a different color. There's this blue. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. And I was gonna show you that last one how the ribbon was obviously too long, and but I liked the thickness of it. So when that happens, of course, I find a place where it goes behind something, cut it, and trim it down so it'll fit. So yeah, if this was on a layout, I might add more scatters. I do try to be mindful of that with you guys, that you're getting a word art cluster, and little scatters, like with little things, are going to be hard to just throw a drop shadow on and it'd be okay. So in fact, really, this netting, I probably shouldn't use the netting for that exact reason, because you'll apply a drop shadow and it'll look good with these other parts, but it won't look good on the net. Like, I adjusted the net, but when I do my cluster, it's going to disappear. So what I could do, oh, sorry about my microphone. What I could do to make sure the net shows up is to go ahead and give it a paper background. That's one option. So maybe a circle here, so that obviously that bright green is not in my not in this kit. Okay, so could look at these solid ones. I've got, it definitely needs to be something not too busy, because we do have this the alpha there already. So I'm looking at one of these. This one might be fun. Just the lightest hint of colors, and it would blend behind it and not be too busy, while also being a little fun, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think that could work. I mean, I don't think you would want anything. And anyways, so I did a clippy mask there, and I'm just going to play around with if I want a little bit of color on there. I think that might be fun to have a little bit of color. So, yeah. So, just tweaking little things. The E seems to have gotten hidden a little bit. Just, there we go. And, you know, with this font, it might be fun to, they don't have to line up all perfectly. But anyways, so, you know, now if I wanted to, I could do a little scatter, just because I do have this circle background. And again, like I was saying with the drop shadows, I don't want it to just disappear in the drop shadows too much. I'm thinking that now I'm worried about this not standing out enough, so I'm gonna make sure it pops off. Yeah, there we go. A little more drop shadow to make sure it stands out against the light background paper. Perfect. Okay, so I'm liking this. I think this is cute how this came out. So then I do the two forms for you. I have this style from WinDesign to hide the drop shadows. Um, it's I don't know if it's available anymore actually from where she sold. I don't know where she is. I got this many years ago. But the gist of it is what you could do is you just duplicate all these layers and merge it together with the drop shadows still there, and then with the original that you duplicated it from, clear the drop shadows from all of those, merge that, and then you clip the drop shadow one to the merged copy without drop shadows, and that'll basically get rid of all the outside drop shadows and just have the overlapping ones between the different elements. And if I just lost you on what I said, please leave a comment and I will do another video where I explain that process, because that is the long way of doing what clicking this little button does for me. And I just go boop because I don't have time to do that every time. I love the style. I thought it was fun, or this action. I love this action. It's really fast. Saves time since I make word art clusters all the time. I love using the action instead of doing it by all those manual steps. So anyway, so you can see all the outline drop shadows are gone. You know, like this one doesn't have a drop shadow on the background, but it does have whatever layers were underneath it. So that is what I will save as my, I'll make a new folder here. Freebies. I plan on making one more word art. Like Mermaid. And this is the Under the Sea, so I'll probably just call it Under. We'll just call it Under. And this is cluster. I'll put cluster for the version with all the elements. And this made a new file, so I just close it and say I'm not saving it. And then I will select all the letters, right click this eye and go show hide all other layers. So I get just my letters and run the action again. So I get just the words only cluster for you guys that like a little versatility and some options. And I'll call that one just under with no cluster. And there we have it. And then I do save my word art clusters in the raw layered form just in case I want to go back and change something or modify it for my own layouts later. So that is my video tutorial for you this week, showing my process with word art cluster. And I hope you liked it and enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something new. If you did like seeing the process, please let me know and I will do more process videos for you in the future. So have a great time and I'll see you next time.